I'm gonna start this video by giving you guys some YouTube advice if you have a channel. If something does well, do it again, but not right away. So that's what we're doing right here. Another interview review. Who would have thought that reviewing an interview would have done well on this channel? But the last time I did one of these, it was about Keith Morris and Kat Moss. And I had a lot of critical things to say about that thing. But I gotta put this right out on Front Street, shout out Luke Owen, that this is gonna have a completely different tone. I have a lot of positive things to say about this interview. Hey ladies, how's it going? Dan Frampton here, and welcome back to the Dan Frampton channel. And today, we're gonna be talking about Fat Mike's podcast. In particular, the episode where he interviewed internet man Finn McKenty. Now, in order to watch this podcast, you gotta go to nocapshows.com and buy a virtual ticket for $0. It's an entire process. Then they send you a fucking verification code and you plug that in and then you can watch this thing. And normally when things take that many steps, I'm not going through with it. But I wanted to watch this thing, and I suggest that you go through all these steps as well. If you're familiar with Fat Mike's stage banter, that's kind of what you get in podcast form. And I'm very, very familiar with both these gentlemen, and it's crazy to see them in the same room. The whole thing kicks off pretty confrontationally friendly when Fat Mike presses Finn McKenty on the reason why he thinks Fat Mike killed skate punk. And it basically boiled down to that he was an asshole and an elitist, kind of a Chad. And the fact that these guys were able to joke about that right away really told themselves and the audience that these guys don't take themselves that seriously. And all this gatekeeping elitist stuff in the year 2022 is pretty much just a meme, and they both lean into it exquisitely. And early on in the interview, they talk about this Under Oath drama that Fat Mike found himself in that I had no idea about. So Under Oath was like a Christian band way back in the day. You know, they were like so sheltered growing up and they just wrote Christian music. And Fat Mike had a problem with the bass player apparently, or one member of the band, because he didn't like gay people. You know, he's a bit of a homophobe. And there's this whole thing about Under Oath not believing in dinosaurs and then printing a shirt with a dinosaur on it that looks like Fat Mike being like, we believe in dinosaurs now. I'm not sure if any of this beef was swept under the rug or whatever, but Under Oath have grown up. They are no longer the Christian sheltered boys that they once were. And then we get into the meat of the interview, and this is Fat Mike's elitist punk rock test, the quiz that he gives to Finn, with questions like, what is the best Metallica album? Which Finn got wrong. What is the best Swedish punk band? Which Finn got wrong. And I knew the answer to that one. It's clearly Randy. You can't keep a good band down. And anyway, these questions would continue on, where in the middle of it, he talks about Finn McKenty's murdering aunt. That's right, murder aunt. And it was brought up so casually, like, one of your relatives did some murdering, right? How many of them are in jail? And they were able to just like joke about it and put it all out there and just be honest, genuine, and authentic. Very refreshing. And another major highlight of this interview is when Finn McKenty is explaining the Chad versus virgin meme, you know, from the internet. And Fat Mike didn't understand what a virgin was. He didn't understand what a Chad was. It took him a bit to understand that it wasn't really a sexual thing. And then Finn busted out the whiteboard and did one of his famous graphs in order to illustrate the point. And then by the end of it, not only did Fat Mike understand the meme, he was able to make suggestions for the graph. See, internet culture isn't that hard. All it takes is a good 4-quadrant graph. And Mike is a very good interviewer, no matter what you think of him. A very charismatic guy that can really hold a podcast, and this thing did not feel the length that it was because of how entertaining it was. But when he asked Finn about like, how do the bands feel about what you do on the internet? Finn was all like, you know, the bands seem to like what I say, but the fans don't. Which if you're familiar with this channel, you know that's the exact opposite. I'm a much smaller channel than Finn, so there's not a lot of comparisons to make other than the fact that we talk about the same sorts of things. And with him, you're getting more of like a knowledge-based experience. Here on the Dan Frampton channel, it's all about shit talking, it's all about shit posting, it's about uploading every day and just being a general nuisance. But after all the silliness and all the memes, they were able to get a little bit political for a bit, and they discussed sexism, they discussed racism in a very open and honest way. So I gotta say that this interview is 9 lederhosens over cellulose out of 10. Go check this shit out, it's super entertaining. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you liked it, subscribe, hit the bell, and until my next upload, watch another upload.